Returning to the old markets means we return to the old ways on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Steve, I know. Can't kill him. Don't kill him. We'll talk about this on Monday. Go enjoy your weekend. Cool. I'm recording. I gotta go. Hi! My name's Charles Ray Dawson, Associate Broker, Residential Sales Manager, ProStar Realty, and also Head of IT and Product Implementation and Onboarding and Recruiting and a whole bunch of other stuff I've been doing this week. But hey, guess what? It is 3:22 on Thursday afternoon, and I'm going to try to get this recorded, uploaded, and hit my deadline of 5 o'clock every Thursday. And you too can watch another episode of the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. You can tell I'm a little fired up right now. We're dealing with a vendor right now that's, basically great, wonderful package, looks good. Hey, let's rock and roll on this thing. And then we start implementing it this week, and it's like, oh wait, what? This? How do we get that one widget that you told us you had? Wait, the widget's in production, and we're not going to see it for a couple weeks. Oh yeah. So I already told Steve, I'm a little fired up right now. I may swear on this episode. Right, but let me cool down. Let's talk about something a little bit more calming, like the real estate market. No, that's not calming at all. So, all right, for you people who are following me on Facebook, we are going to be discussing certain old. I don't want to, if you want to call it a superstition and old practices and stuff, but the real estate market has gotten a little squirrely right now, and it is. Steve walks in. And right before he leaves, he drops this on me and goes, hey, you might want to talk about this. Is the housing crash imminent? Here's how far home prices have dropped in the valley amid a cooling housing market. So, unfortunately, I already had most of that. This was actually put out by the Phoenix Business Journal. And I already, have most of that stuff lined up already for this. But just to let you know, I've been talking about the market cooling. I've been talking about us moving from a strong hot seller's market into a tepid seller's market. And I can actually say right now, based on what the numbers that we pulled out on Wednesday, there is a couple cities here in Maricopa that have officially hit buyer market territory. That's right. All right. We haven't seen a buyer's market since about 2012. Right, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with this. A lot of buyers actually bought back in 2012, and they're but then ever since then they've been just thinking about, oh yeah, such a hot seller's market, we'll be able to sell our house immediately. And like I said, when that interest rate change hit back in March and back in April, things started getting a little squirrely, right? And now we're starting to see that. So let's just go straight over to the numbers real quick. All right, I want to hit our first numbers. Don't look at that yet. Don't want you guys seeing that yet. Trying to do these things all in one shot is so technically ridiculous. So this is what we got going on for this week's numbers. These numbers are the numbers for July 20th, 2022. Actives this week are 16,483. That's up 809 from last week. Of those, new listings are 2,781, down 81 from last week. Our pendings are at 1,318, which is up 11. Under contracts looking for backups are at 815, up 4. Contracts with a buyer contingency are at 108, down 29. I'm halfway expecting to see that to drop more, because before, when you could take a buyer's contingency knowing, okay, yeah, they're going to sell their place just about as fast as we're selling ours. Now that we're seeing days on market change, do you really want to put your listing up, get it under contract, knowing that now it is contingent upon somebody else selling their place? All right. So start watching for that number to go down. Closings last week were 1,609. Coming soon is 996. And let's look at the Cromford numbers. Our buyers are at 83.2. Right. So that is definitely lower than normal, average being 100, and we're still seeing that trend down. I don't know where the bottom's going to go on that. I do expect that to level out at some time sooner or later. And our supply is up to 59.8. Now remember, 100 is supposed to be normal on both of those numbers. So we still have more buyers there are more buyers out there than there are houses. Right? But definitely not what we were seeing earlier. And this is what's starting to cause everything to close up. So the other big thing that came out with the Cromford report numbers and everything is I wanted to share this screen with you right here. This is the individual Cromford Market Index for individual cities. All right, and you can see Fountain Hills is still very, very much a seller's market. Paradise Valley, all right, still very much. That index of 100 is considered normal balanced. All right, but if you notice, it is nothing but red. Numbers are dropping across the board. All right, because Fountain Hills last month was 312. So to think of 312, that means we would be looking at this ratio here, like maybe 120 to 40, 120 people looking for 40 houses. All right, so Paradise Valley only dropped 7%, right? But they were still seller's market. Scottsdale, Avondale. Let's work it from the bottom up. Buckeye. All right. If you are in Buckeye or you are looking in Buckeye, all right, anything below 90, and they just hit below 90, that's when we start saying that is a buyer's market. All right. So Buckeye definitely just moved into buyer's market off of a balanced market. Right. But look at their drop. Right. They used to be 134 index last month. That is technically a seller's market. So Buckeye, for some reason, went from a seller's market all the way down to a buyer's market without even going through balanced market. Right? Balanced market being anywhere between 90 and 110. All right. So we got Queen Creek at 95. That's technically they are in a balanced market. This time last month, still in the seller's market. Maricopa, almost at 101.4. All right. Perfect balance on that thing, all right? Peoria is your next one at 122, still technically seller's market, all right? It's above 110, all right? Tempe, still technically a seller's market at 123, but look at the drops that we've been having. 40% under, 39, 33, 36, 33. If that thing is still considered in a balanced or still in the seller's market, it's just because the numbers haven't caught up yet. I'm starting to expect to see that get reflected over these numbers over here. But remember, we still have all of these other cities that are keeping this ratio afloat. All right. So Fountain Hills is included in this. All right. Paradise Valley is included, in these numbers right here. So that's what we're looking at. That's why you got to watch your zip codes, which are more granular information than just cities. And that's why you got to look at your price points, right? Because you can have a town out here, Buckeye, right? All built at the same time, all roughly the same price point, does not have as much of a swing from one side to the other as, let's say, Phoenix does. Because Phoenix has Maryvale on one side, Avondale on the other. All right, so bigger scope to deal with. All right, less of an impact when an individual price point goes to hell on you. Individual zip code goes to hell on you. All right, so that's what we're looking at. So if you are looking to buy right now, your biggest thing that you're looking at is what is your interest rate going to be? We are still waiting for the Fed to drop. Are they going to go up another 50 basis points? Are they going to go up for another 75 basis points? Or will they get so scared because inflation is at 9.1 and continues to rise even after the last Fed rate hike? Will they swing for the fences and go up a full 1 point? All right. And if that happens, it's a Katie bar the door. So if you're on the seller side, you got to price right, you got to price early. One of the big things coming away from this article that they're talking about was the house prices that are being dropped. Originally, you come in, sellers are asking for that big number, and it doesn't sell in the first couple weeks, and then they start dropping their prices until they get to the price point where people, purchase. What happens if the market is dropping faster than you're lowering your price? All right. Now, this one right here, all right, said that median sales prices are dropping by 5% a month. All right. If that, I think a lot of that is actually the bubble of the people who were pricing earlier late last month, early last month, but looking back there in the June and stuff where people weren't identifying the shift, all right, and agents who are used to just, hey, what was your last comp? Let's go 20,000 over your last comp. Boom. Right? You can't do that anymore, but it takes time for this information to percolate through the market and people to catch up on the change and everything that's happening. People who are not watching the Cromford Report, people who are not running the numbers every week, right? Part-timers. Oh my God. Part-time agents do not spend the time or effort to sit here and keep an eye on the industry. So when you call your cousin Gladys up to sell your house, right, she doesn't have the last years of experience because she's only done 2 deals. Right, and both of those were family members or co-workers and stuff like that, right? And these are the times where full-time agents really start to shine, right? And it's a full-time agent who's got basically their thumb on the pulse. They're watching the market, they know what's going on, and it's that ability to sit there and go, hey, this is where we're at, and this is where we're going, right? So. And the other nice thing about using full-time agents, especially old school full-time agents, is that when we do get to that market that we haven't seen, a balanced market hasn't been seen since 2014, right? That was 6 years ago. To put that in realtor lives terms, that is 3 times an agent has renewed their license, right? We have to renew our license every 2 years. There's the gut check every 2 years. Do I really want to keep doing this? Yeah, I really wanted to keep doing this. And then they renew their license. Now remember, one thing real estate schools never tell you, all right? 80% of real estate agents wash out in the first 2 years. They never renew their license. And after that, 90% never renew it again after the second time. So we're looking at agents who have been around since 2014 have made the cut, right? They are not the top 1%, but they're at least, in that top 10%. Right, of agents who first started out, right? They know how to do these things, right? But all those agents who have never been in a balanced market before, they don't know how to operate on these things. They don't know how to market their property, and those are the ones who are going to get kicked in the teeth. And I really think that's where you're getting your 5% initial cut. Those people, right, who weren't pricing at the beginning what they needed to be. So the other thing is, when the old ways return, you also get what I call the return of the old gods. All right, and sort of paraphrasing off of Kipling's Gods of the Copybook Headings, all right? But we are definitely in the Gods of the Copybook Heading state. And it came out as a joke a couple earlier this week, actually, of somebody posted this on a real estate Facebook page I follow. This is a St. Joseph statue, home sale kit. These used to be very popular. They started out in about the mid-90s. You could buy one of these things, and let's get into the story of, old St. Joseph, right? Or as I like to call him, St. Joe. All right. So St. Joe is the Catholic saint, right? He is the father of Jesus, all right? Joseph and Mary, right? And a couple things, because he was a carpenter, he's also the patron saint of workers. So a lot of things to do with houses. And some people say that he's the patron saint of real estate because of Joseph and Mary trying to find lodging, before Jesus was born. So regardless of the fact of how he became the patron saint of, and some say he's patron saint of real estate, realtors, home sellers, not necessarily home buyers, right? But one of the reasons why he got into this role of what he is because I printed that off somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Here's it. This story that they're talking about here, if I can find it, was because there was apparently there was a nun who was looking for a new place to start a convent back in the 1500s, and she was unable to find a good location for it, and so she started taking St. Joseph medallions, and she was burying them, right, and praying to St. Joseph, going, "Hey, help guide us find a place." And then they eventually did find a place and was able to set up the convent. So that's why the St. Joseph statue has become a thing in certain parts of real estate. And what's funny is agents used to buy these things in boxes, like in crates. Right? There's a brokerage here in town that when you signed the listing agreement, as part of finalization of the listing agreement, they would bury a St. Joseph statue, like right there with you. They're like, "Oh, well, let's go bury St. Joe." Right? I'm not sure if it's a marketing thing, not sure if it's actual belief, but these are indeed starting to come back, because here I am. I see that. Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. That's funny. And then 2 days later, for some reason, Twitter decides to post this painting. All right. This is a painting of St. Joseph, completely unrelated to real estate. All right. But here we are. It's like, oh, wow, that's twice I've seen St. Joseph in 1 week. Right. And then 2 days later, one of my clients mentioned it. And I'm like, okay, 3 times the charms. I'm listening, I'm hearing. All right. So Ray's doing St. Joseph on his YouTube video this week. God actually sort of sent me down a rabbit hole, and I started looking at other religions, other belief structures. Who else could one, reach out to in these times? Who are the true gods of real estate? Right. So, and one of the ones that you can beseech yourself to is Hestia or Vesta. Hestia is the Greek. Right, Vesta is the Roman side. This is the goddess of the hearth, also goddess of the kitchen. All right. Also, along those traditions, if you're moving and shaking real estate and stuff like that, she'd be the one you'd be thinking, help me find a hearth, help me find a kitchen, right? Another one along these lines, if you're more of the Nordic type, or is Frigg, all right? Not to be confused with Freya, I believe. I really, really suck at my Norse gods and everything like that. But she's also the goddess of the hearth, goddess of the kitchen, goddess of the household, all right? I also wonder, wouldn't Hera also fall on that because she's the goddess of the family, or does that not work anymore because of fair housing rules? All right, because remember, fair housing was, you can't differentiate between families and individuals, but we're still talking about homes. So I think that's probably why we'd be dealing with Hestia and something like that. And then finally, the more Asian side of the house, Kojin, all right, is the Japanese god of the kitchen, of the oven, of the fires. He would also report back to the local kami if you and your household were not following the proper practices and stuff like that. So as you can see, we got quite a pantheon of real estate gods we can interact with. I would definitely stay away from beseeching anybody that you come from the Lovecraftian universe. All right, Hastur. Definitely not Cthulhu. Nobody on that side. It's like if you want a house removed, quite possibly. If you wanted to get rid of a tenant, all right, maybe that would work out in those kind of situations. But don't mess around with the old gods. They get pissy. Definitely, you do not want to do in the tradition of Saint Joseph over here. All right. Part of the ritual behind Saint Joseph is you can just put the statue up in the home that's for sale. There's also a tradition of you bury the Saint Joseph statue out by the for sale sign, and you bury him like upside down and facing away from the house. If you're moving and you need to sell to move, facing towards the house, help me find a buyer. A lot of different ways to go do that. I would not necessarily take a statue of Frigg and bury it all. Right. And yes, you can't find statues on eBay or Amazon. They're out there, but make sure you're not crossing the streams when you come to the different practices between your different pantheons. It's not going to end well for you. So along the lines of when you're dealing with Saint Joseph, I'm not sure if Saint Joseph himself is one of the Catholic saints who got moved over into voodoo, the voodoo tradition. But a lot of the voodoo tradition is taking old African gods and mixing them with Catholic saints, and then you get these weird mixed characters and what like that. With a lot of the voodoo tradition, just stay away from that altogether, right? Honestly, best way to do real estate is call a good agent. Let's do it that way. That's not saying that there is not, good agents don't have silly superstition, because I sure do. If you're on a buyer's side and we're looking for a house, and I set up that search so you're getting new listings and whatnot, I don't turn that off until the day after I know you closed. I don't know why it is. It's just like a little silly superstition that I have. I do not, I keep that going because I don't want to turn off that lead and all of a sudden have your purchase fall out and we have to go looking all over again. So anyways, St. Joe's back. We're having a good, and we'll see how that works out. Market sector's definitely moving right now. Keep an eye on what's going on. If you are interested in selling, if you're interested in buying right now, once again, 5 years, I've always said this. All right, if you're planning on a move anytime in the next 5 years, you might want to consider continuing to rent. All right, for the appreciation side, like if you had bought and sold in just over a year, You definitely would have made money, right, until last March, until the first week of April. That's when we started seeing everything slide right there. All right, but if your life plans out there is like, oh, and then I'm moving to Seattle in the next 2 years, you definitely don't want to be picking something up. If you're looking to sell, don't know if we're having that little minor correction. We still don't have the mechanisms in place for a crash, right? But we're having that initial die off of overpriced houses out there on the market. We're going to see those things start coming down. So looking to sell is now a good time. You're going to spend longer on there. I can't tell you that next year we're going to go back to the numbers that we saw last year. In fact, I'll guarantee you we won't. So, that's a case by case basis. Regardless of the fact, 20 minutes, wrap this up. Let's see if I can get this thing posted by 5 o'clock. All right. Thank you very much for watching my show. Once again, watch the animals and pets around the pools. All right. Work your circles, and you guys have a great week.